Welcome back, critical thinkers. Today's TEK is G2C. Determine an equation of a parallel line or perpendicular line to a given line that passes through a given point. The topic of today's video is the slope-intercept form of a line, and our learning objective is to place a linear equation into the slope-intercept form and graph a line using the slope-intercept form of a line. So you will know you have mastered this concept when you can take a linear equation, put it into the slope-intercept form of a line, and then graph it on the coordinate plane. Every skill you learn makes you stronger. I know you can do this, so let's turn your practice into your superpower. The first concept we must understand is, what is the slope-intercept form of a line? It's just an equation. It is y equals mx plus b. Now, this m right here is your slope. This b right here tells you what your y-intercept is. The slope is the rise over run of the line, or it's the steepness of the line. And the y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. Now, these are the steps right here. These three simple steps are the things that we use to graph a linear equation. So your first task is to place linear equations into the slope-intercept form. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to look at it while it's in slope-intercept form, and you're going to determine the slope and the y-intercept. And once you have that, you're going to plot the y-intercept, and then you're going to move with the slope, doing rise over run to get to the next point. Let's look at an example problem. The directions read, graph 3x minus 5y equals 10. Now you're going to look at this and you're immediately going to know that this is the standard form of a line. You have some coefficient times x plus another coefficient times y is equal to a number. So that ax plus by equals c is our standard form of the line. They want us to take this and then put it into the form of y equals mx plus b. So what we're going to do is we're going to solve for y, and then we're going to put it in the order where the x term is going to be close to the equal sign, and then the number that's going to be remaining off to the right of that is going to be our y-intercept. So let's do this. I'm taking my initial equation, 3x plus 5y equals 10, and I'm going to start evaluating it. I know I have my negative 5y here, and I need to keep that on the left-hand side. I need to move this 3x over here to get the negative 5y all by its lonesome. So in order to do that, in order to move the 3x's, what I have to do is I need to subtract them from both sides. So you notice that my next step right here is to subtract 3x's from the left, and if I subtract it from the left, I have to subtract it from the right. My next step is just to simplify. The 3x's cross out, and what remains is my negative 5y, and over here I have 10 minus 3x. So if I just write down what's remaining from that second step, I get this, my third step. What I want to do, though, remember, is I need to get my x's over toward the equal sign. So I need to move those negative 3x's over to the left. So the way I do that is I can just maneuver them over toward the equal sign. So that's exactly what I did in this step right here. I took my negative 3x, I put it over here, and then I added it to the 10. So my next step is minus 5y equals a negative 3x plus 10. Looking at this step right here, I know that I want to get my y by itself, but I have that negative 5 attached to it. Negative 5 is the coefficient that's being multiplied to the y. So what we have to do, we have to get rid of that negative 5. So we have to basically do the opposite of what's happening to it. So if it's being multiplied, the opposite of multiplying is division. So if I'm multiplying by a negative 5, I have to get rid of it by dividing by a negative 5. And if I divide the left side by negative 5, to keep the equation equal, I have to divide the right side by 5 as well. So that is my exact next step. Notice the only thing that changes from the previous step to this step is in dark blue. So I divide the left side by negative 5, divide all of the right side by negative 5. Notice that the negative 5's cross out on the left, but on the right, I need to separate what's up on the top. So I'm going to put the first term over negative 5, then I'm going to add it, and then put the second term over a negative 5. So this becomes negative 3x over a negative 5, and then plus 10 over a negative 5. And that is my next step right here. I'm looking at this term, and I notice that I have a negative divided by a negative. To simplify that, I know a negative divided by a negative is always going to be a positive. I also have over here a 10 divided by a negative 5. I know that this is a positive 10 divided by a negative, so my answer has to be negative. But 10 divided by 5 is a 2, and because it's a positive divided by a negative, it becomes a negative 2. So I am saying this is going to be 3/5 x plus a negative 2. Now, whenever you're adding a negative, you can easily simplify it by just calling it subtraction. So you could say this is going to be 3/5 x minus 2. We went from standard form the whole way down to slope-intercept form. Now, looking at the slope-intercept, I want to then pull out my slope, which is the coefficient next to the x, and it's a positive 3/5. My y-intercept is a negative 2. Now, what this says is this is where it crosses the y-axis. So when I graph it, I'm going to put a dot. I'm going to come over here to my graph. I'm going to put a point on my negative 2 and the y-axis. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my slope, which is 3/5. This 3 right here is my rise, and this 5 right here is my run. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up 3/5, up 3/5. And each time I get a new point for my line. So I connect these points together, making the line y equals 3/5 x minus 2. Now, I'm going to come up here for just a second, and I want you to see the slope. You know that the slope is a positive 3 over a positive 5. However, the ending of that is that you have a positive slope. We can also get that same ending with making 3 negative and 5 negative. So we have a negative divided by a negative, which is a positive. So this right here is also a legitimate slope. But what this means is this is our rise now, and this becomes our run. Rise over run. So instead of going up and over 3 and 5, what's going to happen is we're going to go down and back 3 and 5. So I'm going to go back over to where we looked at our graph. And so I'm going to put our y-intercept at negative 2. And I'm going to do my rise, which is a negative 3, which means I go down 3. And my run is a negative 5, which means I go backwards 5. So this is 3, 4, and 5. And look, I get another point on the line. Whether it's a positive 3 over 5 or a negative 3 over 5, it gets me to that same line. So what we're looking at is the graph of y equals 3/5 x minus 2. Or we could call it 3x minus 5y is equal to 10. That and this are the same. Now it's your turn to take the lead. Let's see how you can apply what we have just learned. The instructions are simple and they read graph 1/2 x plus 1/3 y equals 3. Remember to show all of your work in your notebooks and be sure to box in your answers if possible. Your written work should clearly show how you are thinking so that I can follow your logic step by step. If you have any issues or questions, please ask for help. You may check your answers on the next slide. So please pause the video now and complete your work. When you're finished, press play to continue. Here is the answer to the problem. Please pause the video and check your answer. When you're finished, press play to continue. This is it for today's video. If something does not make sense, that is your cue to ask questions. You can come to me, you can talk to your classmate, your shoulder partner, or you can even try AI for a step-by-step explanation. We are all here to help you succeed. You learn best by breaking complex concepts down into smaller, more manageable skills. And that's what we did today. You are turning practice into your superpower. I believe in you, and I know you can do this. You are working your way to success. Have a great day.